when they decided to go, they said they were going to give us democracy. And we who fought the military said, well, democracy is not the first condition that we need now. We need to talk before we can have democracy, so that we don't go back to the same crisis period that we were before. You know, the kata and everything that we went through. So that was it. And so many of us said, we cannot be part of this process. But even if we had decided at that time that we want to be part of that process, there was no way the military was going to give power to those of us who fought them. No. So they chose the politicians, the traditional ones, and gave them power. Even before elections were conducted, nobody knew the rules. There was no constitution in place. It was when people voted and they declared some people winners that they then signed into law a constitution, which was why erudite jurist Robert B. Williams said the constitution lied against itself, because he said, we the people gave us ourselves this constitution. You and I, we were never summoned, you know, to that forum. So that was it. And when they gave power to the old politicians, those who were hiding under the bed when we were fighting the military, they gave power to them. What did they do with it? They came into power and took more of Nigeria's money meant for you and I, for our children to go to school, for us to have access to free medical health care. They took that money, they usurped it, and they have remained in power since then, demanding a second term. Sometimes they want to do a third term. Of course, I just wanted to do a third term, but Nigerian people said no. And that was how he jettisoned, you know, that project at the end of the day. So, when the military gave power, they gave power to those people who will not question them, who will not ask, how did you spend our money in the past? Who will not ask them, how many people did you kill, you know, while you were in power? And that was basically what happened. And that is why today people will say, if we knew then, we would have been part of the political process. But gentlemen and ladies, I tell you, there's no way the military would have given power to those of us who engage with them, you know, that they must be seen. Now, what is the result? 15 years down the line, we have been proven right in many ways. The gray zones have multiplied. Our democracy plots on a path some scholars have qualified as zigzagging democracy for lack of merit and progress. Elections have not been free and fair. As the Commonwealth Election Observers once put it in 2007, Nigeria went below the standard it set for itself. Political parties lack any coherent worldview. Indeed, they are ideologically impoverished and thus an unencumbered turf for godfathers and primitive accumulators of various views, you know, proliferate. Politics, not the type that Plato once described in his Republic for philosopher kings, but the one that allows whosoever desires to dip his or her hand into the Commonwealth with impunity and without corresponding sanction. Indeed, these Jockeys and Nollywood Actors and Actresses, disoriented professionally and in search of fitting locker, serenade the scene. You know, I don't know whether you have watched the following primaries in the last few days. Nollywood actors who want to be politicians. Even DJs, D1, all of them want to be politicians. And so, that is the joke that we are now taking governance to at this level. There was once upon a time, a governor who was called Odion. Odion, when he was in power, he was called Governor Do Nothing. And when it was time for re-election, you know, the father came out. The father is a big chief in Benin, the Esama of Benin. That after all, when you go to send your children to school, when they fail, they are not driven out of the classroom, but they are allowed to repeat. And so you should allow my son to repeat. Of course, you know he won the election, not because people people voted for him because they rigged the elections. This same man, this same governor, Lucky Benediction, could tell the people in the streets of Benin, when they were asking him, what have you done for us? He told them, after I gave you people money during the election. So when they do that, they know. It's not because they have your interest, at heart at the end of the day. Okay, now look at the case of Ekiti. With due respect to Ekiti people who are here, when we were growing up, we are told that Ekiti is the land of professors, that they have the highest number of professors in the country. Now, the land of professor elected in talk somebody who has a case hanging over his neck as governor of that state. You see what he has done. The first thing he did was to attack the courts and the judges with thoughts, even when they have not been sworn into office. And so you need to understand the kind of democracy that we have in Nigeria today, and that's why I call it the quality of our democracy. Is it good or bad? Now, those who failed in the governance school are told to repeat with many, above all, assassins pro the sin. Of this, Shoika Watts rhetorical in his essay titled Ajibola Ike, an economical spirit that speaks to the terminal monologues of Syrian violence in the country. I know we often forget that people like Dara Kola were killed because they wanted to be governor. So many of them in Ekiti, so many were killed. In Edo State, the same thing. In Anambra, the same thing. In Enugu, it was brutal killings all the way by the man they call Unamani. So they killed so many people. In Rivers, the same thing. And so, if that is if that is what democracy is all about, it means that yet we don't have democracy in our country. More recently, the country was treated to a comedy of the absurd. The hallowed chambers of the National Assembly were rudely violated by the security forces in vehement reinforcement of impunity. In other climes, the Inspector General of Police would have resigned or asked to do so. Here, it is a dance of the forest. The protagonists are the misanthropes. Their exactions do not permit the doctrine of the mean, which Aristotle articulated in his Nicomania Ethics, because there is so much evil in the land. What I'm simply saying here is that you go have seen the picture of honorable members jumping the fence into the National Assembly, and police men were tear gassing them, and they were running helter-skelter. That can never happen. The Yorubas will say he war. Those things don't happen in a democracy. The honorables, you may not like them, we put them there. The police, the army are supposed to be subordinate to civil authority. That's what the rule says. You must take order from the civilians who has the mandate of the people to rule the country. But an Inspector General of Police even refused to recognize that we have a speaker. Even when no law of the land has said we don't have a speaker, or no court has declared the speaker, null and void, or has removed him from the office. We saw it. Now, so how would we account for the violation of the territorial integrity of the country by unskilled thugs who go by the name Boko Haram? Is this phenomenon not a national and international complicity, steeped in the fondness of politics, while our men and women in arms not responding appropriately to drive a disoriented band of murderers into the deserts? Has the politicization of massacres become part of our democratic heritage? These are questions. Are we progressing or retrogressing on the path of democratization? Nonetheless, it is to be stressed that the aim of politics is to create the material conditions in which the people can live their lives meaningfully. This is the reason why we do always emphasize that politics and governance is about the people. It is not a sin for self-serving individuals. Thank you very much.